Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Wary of Tasmania's precarious financial position, the major political parties are going easy on the promises so far this campaign. The blame game, though, is in full swing about who's responsible for this snap election.
Day 2 on the hustings for this hasty election, a visit to Penguin Composites.
Thanks for coming. How's it going, mate? Fantastic.
Surviving after a state government bailout last year, now making igloos for UK's Antarctic program.
It's basically the only place in the world where you can get fiberglass igloos for Antarctica.
One of which now bears the scrawl of Jeremy Rockcliffe, who may or may not be Premier by the time it arrives at its destination.
The decision to go to an election was forced upon us by Dean Winter in a rush of blood. We all heard what the business community said about the Premier's decision. They begged him to resign to avoid this. It was a selfish decision that he made.
With recent events here a satirist's dream.
I'm ready! I'm not ready! I'm not ready! Where even are you? I'm in Scotland!
I hate to say it, but it's time for an election.
The Premier fobbing off suggestions Tasmania is harming its own brand.
Why wouldn't you invest in a state of Tasmania that has a record low unemployment? Look around the nation, where is business confidence highest? It's in Tasmania. And what's that tell you?
Labor continues to cash in on the so-called ferry fiasco.
They should come home to where we own the ports, where we own the Spirit of Tasmania, so that we can get them ready. There's still fit out that needs to be done on both ships. All of that fit out should be done here in Tasmania.
And while the opposition hasn't managed to cobble together its candidates yet, more independents are beginning to throw their hats in the ring.
10 years of failed Liberal governments and now Labor playing around with politics, and we have an election that we didn't need to have.
The Greens are match ready in all 5 electorates.
We will hold the big parties accountable, and with the Greens people can have confidence that they know who we are, what we stand for. We won't back down.
As Gavin Pearce returns for the Liberals just a month after retiring from federal politics, spurred on, he says, by attacks to the Premier's leadership.
I picked up my rifle, so to speak, in metaphorical terms, and I'll be standing in the trenches with him on this one.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, the community services sector is raising concerns a snap election will leave several organisations in the lurch. With many groups already struggling financially, there are fears further uncertainty could cause vulnerable Tasmanians to miss out on vital support.
Judy Guyton passionately advocates for change to prevent elder abuse. She's a survivor and relies on support from community services to live a better life.
I can get the help that gives me the peace to be able to sit at home and be happy and know that if something's going to go wrong, I know where to go to get help.
But the budget wasn't passed before the snap election was called, leaving organisations who were relying on funding in it with uncertainty and those who lean on them worried.
I can't be left out on a limb at my age.
Not-for-profits like Council on the Ageing's Tasmania branch are now considering shelving future plans to make ends meet financially.
Anything new or innovative that we might want to do, is off the table at the moment.
But for other providers, the outlook is especially bleak.
We heard this morning about our members needing to make cuts to programs and to staff. And what this will mean is that Tasmanians themselves will suffer because waiting lists will grow and Tasmanians won't be able to access the support they need.
Offering assistance in a range of areas, from housing, food security and rehabilitation, and the timing couldn't be worse.
At this time of year, close to the 30th of June, you've got fixed contracts ending and other challenges within community organisations around planning and budgeting.
As the major parties vow to do more on the other side of the polls.
We'll be back and we will reinvest in those community organisations like we committed to do and like our budget delivered. We'll make sure that a Labor government, a fresh start under Labor, delivers to make sure those important community sector organisations are supported to provide the services that Tasmanians desperately need.
While the snap election has thrown a lot up in the air for the community services sector, stakeholders are hopeful that all parties contesting the election will come forward with solutions.
We need to ensure that we're addressing some of these very complex issues that we're facing here in Tasmania and make some real outcomes and make some real changes over the medium to long term.
But in the short term, the uncertainty remains. Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
Video has emerged online showing the disturbing moment a Hobart CBD shop worker was assaulted by a gang of youths. The brazen and unprovoked attack allegedly unfolded at the Liverpool Street Aussie Mart convenience store early last week. Footage shows the worker being hit while others raided the shelves. One youth reportedly was armed with a knife during the incident. Police say they have identified the 4 culprits involved but are still investigating the matter. Tasmania's tourism industry is flying high, with Jetstar increasing flights between Hobart and Melbourne from July. The deal will see 50,000 extra passengers travel in and out of the state as part of the government's Aviation Attraction Fund.
Jetstar is buckling up to help Tasmania's tourism industry, the airline offering thousands of extra seats for one of the state's most popular flight paths.
Bring up to 50,000 more passengers between Hobart and Melbourne.
The added extra is taking off next month until the end of the year. It will mean an additional 6 flights per week.
It works out almost to an extra flight per day,
bringing more tourists to Tasmania's capital.
Hobart Airport's Tasmania's most popular gateway, with 6 out of 10 people travelling to Tasmania coming through Hobart Airport.
2.8 million passengers touch down every year, half of those travelling from Melbourne. Tourism bodies believe this latest boost will benefit the whole state, especially after off-season festivities like Dark Mofo wrap up.
What we hope to do as a tourism industry is really generate increased visitors into the state through winter and through spring to keep that momentum for our operators,
helping to keep our tourism and hospitality sector strong.
We need people out and about. We need these extra seats. We need heads on beds and bums on seats in restaurants and pubs, and that's what these sort of extra flights do for our industry.
As well as keeping jobs and employment afloat during the off-season.
Probably going to get more hours and be able to hopefully sustain their work through the quieter period, and hopefully employers can also invest in training and things like that and invest back into the infrastructure of their businesses.
Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmanian News.
Water restrictions have been lifted in Orford and Tribunna following decent rainfall over the long weekend. More than 50 mils fell across local catchments, welcome relief following an unseasonably dry autumn. Taswater has thanked the local community for helping to conserve water since the measures were introduced in April. Stage 1 restrictions remain in place for now at Lady Barron on Flinders Island. A major Tasmanian hospitals successfully conducted a new type of radiation therapy that can now be used to treat people with prostate cancer. The medical milestone coming just in time for Men's Health Week. Men now urged to get checked before it's too late.
Richard Langdon was regularly getting checked for prostate cancer, but it wasn't until last year that he was diagnosed and referred to an oncologist.
Previously I'd had no signs of prostate cancer at all, and so I would have had no reason to go ahead and get it checked until it got to quite a serious stage.
He's now the first public patient to receive prostate cancer treatment using a new radiation therapy technique. Stereotactic ablative body radiation therapy is a higher dose of radiation delivered to a smaller area, targeting tumours in just over 2 weeks.
So it allows us to deliver more dose per day, leading to shorter treatment times and potentially less side effects.
It remains the most common cancer in Australian men, with 1 in 8 receiving a diagnosis over their lifetime. But modern treatment options aren't trailing far behind.
The type of treatment machines that we have are really state-of-the-art, and they allow us to do very advanced treatment types such as this for a whole range of body areas.
The Royal Hobart has a long list of patients waiting to be treated this way. It's hoped the hospital will be able to provide 2 treatments per week in the near future. Men who think they're cancer-free are urged to get tested in the meantime.
Increasingly men are aware, and also their partners and their families are aware, and they're asking them to check and keep an eye on their PSA, but I think it's never hurts to hear that message again.
As for Richard, doctors say they're happy with how he's tracking, with just a few final checks before he's officially cleared.
I mean, it's all painless and it's very quick. I mean, the alternative is pretty bad.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
As parts of the state brace for their coldest winter yet, Hobart City Mission has launched its annual winter appeal, pleading with the community to support local people experiencing crisis.
We're delivering over 850 food packs a month to people in need, as well as seeing an increasing demand for our other services, and particularly for clothing, warm blankets, and our other emergency appointments.
Locals are encouraged to dig deep in any way they can.
We do accept monetary donations as well as food, toiletries and other personal care items, warm blankets, tents.
The goal is to raise $500,000 for the appeal. Well, search efforts to find a Victorian man missing in the Cradle Mountain area have been scaled back. Christopher Inwood was last seen in Kidred in the state's north on Monday night. His van was found in a car park on Cradle Mountain Road on Tuesday. A ground and aerial search has failed to find any sign of the 52-year-old. Police say the chances of surviving the freezing conditions for days are extremely low. As spectators are walking to tonight's Hawks-Crows game at UTAS, it will be hard to miss this giant purple screen, which will be doing laps around the stadium. Paid for by Independent Senator Tammy Tyrrell, the billboard will spend 7 hours trying to sway footy fans against the Macquarie Point Stadium.
What's better than having a mobile TV running around the streets of Launceston while there's an AFL footy game on, which, you know, should be under a roof in a stadium, but no, we're playing at York Park without a roof. So we're showing people that it can be done, and we're just putting people's points of view out.
She wants the Devils to play at UTAS and Ninja stadiums instead. A group of determined mates is preparing to take on the journey of a lifetime, driving restored Subarus from Hobart to the heart of Australia's Simpson Desert. Their mission to raise awareness and critical funds for Parkinson's Tasmania.
It's not your usual road trip, and these aren't your usual cars.
They've been renovated, restored, put whatever word you like on it, but literally bumper bar to bumper bar. Nothing hasn't been touched.
Mal and his mates are taking these 1980s Subarus on an extraordinary 8,000 kilometre journey from Hobart to the Simpson Desert.
Because it was an area I've never been to, and we wanted to do something that was intentionally difficult.
Mainly swags under the awnings of the cars, so we're all set up. There are going to be some chilly nights, I imagine.
They're not professional drivers, just a close group of mates, fuelled by a shared purpose to raise awareness for Parkinson's disease.
We're hopeful we're going to raise a few dollars along the way to help support research into A, what the cause of the disease is, and B, secondly, hopefully come up with a cure.
More than 2,000 Tasmanians are living with Parkinson's, a number that's expected to double by 2040. For Mal, this journey is personal, after being diagnosed with the disease 4 years ago.
It is a progressive disease, and so today's your best day, and you just got to keep making the most of it.
This isn't Mal and his mates' first big adventure. Back in 2016, they rode postie bikes from Hobart to Cairns, raising $70,000 for prostate cancer.
We stir the hell out of each other, so we keep each other honest.
These classic cars from the past on a mission that's as timely as ever. Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmanian News.
Launceston is set to host a prominent Australian sculptor. An exhibition showcasing 15 years of work by Melbourne's Sam Jinks is on display at the Queen Victoria Art Gallery from tomorrow. He's known for his lifelike sculptures based on people close to him. This work, called Mortal Reflections.
A contemplation of the symbols and moments that we have as human beings together. It's the cycles, the tender, intimate moments, and then the larger, expansive moments.
We're inviting the community to think and to take that moment, that step in time, to the museum here in Launceston.
The gallery is promising an exciting surprise at the end of the month, with the artist expected to unveil a new piece of work. Wildlife rescuers say Tasmania is facing a crisis in the care of orphaned and injured animals. It's hoped an immersive 3D display featuring the beloved wombat will help raise awareness and funds for a leading wildlife sanctuary.
An Australian icon so treasured it's now plastered across a 3D screen, helping to celebrate wildlife conservation at Tasmania's Bonnarong.
To think of this sitting on top of a building here in the middle of Hobart, everyone's seeing a giant wombat, that alone, you know, spreads a message of we care for our wildlife.
An immersive, glasses-free 3D experience, a first of its kind in Australia.
Over 220 hours of just creation time, just making the wombat come alive and do his thing.
Showcasing the furry friend alongside some alarming statistics, the display more timely than ever.
This year we're seeing a really alarming trend in terms of the rescue numbers that we deal with.
This year I can probably say confidently, sadly, that we're going to hit 20,000 animals that need our help.
Over 500,000 animals are killed on our roads on average per year.
The fact is, we can only keep up for so long with the numbers we're seeing, so we need everyone to play their part in reducing the numbers.
It stands as a reminder to care for wildlife.
3D animation actually brings a brand or an image to life, demanding your attention, getting the hearts, minds and ideas kind of pumping.
As for the star on the screen's name, it's yet to be chosen. Members of the public are encouraged to share their ideas. Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmanian News.
The Hawks have their chance to jump into the top 4 with a win over the Crows at UTAS tonight, brimming with confidence after defeating the Bulldogs. In Launceston's first Friday night AFL match, history is on the Hawks' side, having won their 7 on the trot, although the team that handed Hawthorn their last UTAS defeat was the Crows 2 years ago. Billed as a grand final preview, tomorrow's crosstown clash between Launceston and North Launceston is also proving superb preparation for next week's NTFA rep clash with the SFL.
Yeah, it's a great build-up for us because it gives us a contest for both teams. So obviously, with majority of the NTFA team being in Saturday's game, it's a good opportunity for us to fine-tune that standard of footy that we want.
North Launceston hasn't lost a game since 2023. Well, fresh off statewide cup glory, it's back to business for South Hobart in the NPL. They'll make the trip up the highway to take on Launceston, a huge 1v2 clash.
We'd like to think that this weekend can really spur us on to going on a really long run of unbeaten games and probably breaking away from the pack a little bit.
Meanwhile, in the WSL, the undefeated Devonport Strikers say they're prepared for the unexpected when they host Glenorchy.
4 weeks ago, they might be like they were when we played us in our first round and we beat them 5-0.
The Knights warning their opposition not to underestimate them. The country's best rowers will descend on Tasmania for a second year in a row after Lake Barrington landed hosting duties for next year's Australian Championships. It follows the success of this year's event, which saw record-breaking participation and a surge in spectators. Competitors will hit the water for the 2026 edition from March 23.
Good evening. Hobart and Burnie 13 today. Launceston and Devonport recorded 12, while 16 was the top on King Island again after Liawini posted -5 to be the low again. Flinders Island, Smithton, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Strawn 15, Lowhead 14. Liawini managed to scrape together 8 degrees later in the day. Low cloud moved over the west today and apart from a smoke plume over the Derwent Valley, fairly clear across the rest of the state. Thunderstorms are over the central New South Wales coast. Most of the continent is cloud free. Some high level cloud over parts of South and Western Australia. Tomorrow, a cold front still there to the west, offshore off South Australia. A broad high sits over most of the country. North to northwesterly winds building to 20 to 30 knots over the west and south. Lighter winds inland tomorrow. We do have a strong wind warning. That's from southeast Cape up and around to Stanley. Saturday in Hobart, sunny and 14 degrees. 0 overnight for Maydena, a morning frost, 13 the high. -2 for Oatlands, a high of 11, a partly cloudy but fine day. Launceston, a shower or 2, 14 the top, 14 for Devonport. Morning frost for Liawini, just -3 overnight, a top of 7 tomorrow. 14 for Burnie with a shower, partly cloudy for Strawn, 14 as well, 14 2 for Marrawar. St Helens, mostly sunny and 15, 16 for Swansea. Orford, 5 overnight, 14 tomorrow. On Sunday, showers over the northwest extending to the west late evening. Showers developing over the west on Monday, then extending to remaining districts during the day. And showers on Tuesday, mainly over the north and west. A shower developing in Perth tomorrow, a few showers as well, and 15 in Adelaide. Just a high of 12 degrees in Melbourne. A shower or two in Sydney, sunny and 21 in Brisbane, and a 30 on the way in Darwin. Mostly clear and 7 in Hobart, 6 degrees right now in Launceston and 9 in Devonport. Kim, I guess that's all we have time for tonight.
It is. It's time for the weekend. That is all we have time for tonight. As always, thanks for joining us. Good night, everyone.